What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. It's a Monday morning, December 16th. It's ugly sweater day, so I am wearing my ugly sweater. Most of the stuff I wear is ugly anyway, but you know what? We're rocking with it. That's what's happening as we do this here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Remember that we are live on Roku via the National Streaming Sports app. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Some great content all day long over on National Streaming Sports and the Roku channel. Of course, we're live on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, and basically anywhere that you get your podcasts as well. The podcast is now out. I've got to do a better job. Once again, it's a one-man show. I've got to do a better job of making sure I get them out in a timely fashion. But the podcast is out. If you missed any of the shows going back to November, whenever we started the partnership with National Streaming Sports, whenever we brought back the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, you can check out those podcasts as well. Listen to some of the stuff. Listen to how I've been loud wrong about a lot of things. One of the things I'm not wrong about, though, the Dallas Cowboys. My disappointment in them continues. I'll get to that in just a minute. Remember, we are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. RevAutoCarCare.com. That's the place that you go to make sure that you can save up to 15% off of all of your car care needs. RevAutoCarCare.com. That's the place that you want to go to. Use promo code Tipton33 and save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. Everyone has a car guy in their life, a car person in their life, a woman that loves cars, a dude that loves cars. Go out there, get them their stuff that they need. Promo code Tipton33 at RevAutoCarCare.com. My guy, Tommy Cananza, tuning in over on YouTube right now saying, good morning, Tip. I got Medusa. I got a bunch of other people tuned in to the show right now as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for sharing, for growing, for doing all the things that we are doing right now. But I wanted to get, as I see that our friend Linda McGrath is tuned into the show. Linda, thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing today. I wanted to get into the Dallas Cowboys. And, of course, my unrelenting issue that I have with the Dallas Cowboys as well. It was a roller coaster of emotions watching the Dallas Cowboys struggle in the first half against the Carolina Panthers. Carolina moving the ball, just running it right down the Cowboys' throat. And as we know, if we've been watching the Cowboys any time this year, they struggle defending the run. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They struggle defending the run. Chuba Hubbard just churning right through the Dallas Cowboys defensive line. Dallas able to force a fumble, moves the ball down the field, touchdown, etc. The game winds up going in Dallas's favor. And the Cowboys, again, you know, they get a win. It wasn't a pretty win. It was there were times where it felt like it was dominant, but not really a dominant win for the Dallas Cowboys. Me being a big fan of Uncle Rico Dowdle, him having 149 yards, that was awesome. Would have loved to see him get a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb going 9 for 116 with a tutty. That was awesome as well. But there was just something about the game. And I know they won by 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions, 30-14, the win for the Dallas Cowboys. But I sit here and I think to myself, so I got a message here from Linda McGrath on behalf of Mike. So I appreciate that. And it says, hey, Mike, this is Mike from the hospital. My dude, I hope you're starting to feel better. Thank you so much for taking your time out to listen to my nonsense, at least. And he says, the best move I made was getting you on in mornings. I appreciate that, man. I don't know if the people in El Paso do. Like, it's 10 o'clock Eastern time. I'm cool with that. The 8 o'clock Mountain time, Mac, thank you so much. I had to remember that, Mac. Thank you so much. The 8 o'clock Mountain time, oof. I mean, it might be difficult for them, but I appreciate you saying that, getting me on here in the mornings. It means a lot to me. I appreciate that. I also hope that you start feeling better, my guy. Nothing but love and prayers out there to y'all. Hopefully you start feeling better. Tommy Cananza saying the defense settled down after that first drive. They did, and it's hard to nitpick this Dallas Cowboys defense, because they were able to sack the quarterback. They were able to generate turnovers. And I think that this is the frustrating thing that I was witnessing yesterday, that at least I was feeling yesterday, which was the whole concept of where the hell was this all season long? You didn't have Trayvon Diggs out there. You didn't have DeMarvion Overshown out there. You didn't have DeMarcus Lawrence out there. You were still missing major pieces, yet you were able to generate penetration to get to the quarterback. You were able to defend the pass. After that first drive, where I was thinking this is more of the same. This is more of the normal Dallas Cowboys that we're gonna see all damn season long, or that we've seen all season long, where Chuba Hubbard once again is just eating you alive. Where was that defense on Monday night against a worse offensive line? Tony Romo, or not Tony Romo, Greg Olsen was talking about this during the game, that the Panthers were on what had to be one of the more unlucky streaks in the history of football, where they had lost 5 games by a total of 16 points. That means this team is on the trajectory up. Everyone was writing off Bryce Young whenever he was benched for Andy Dalton at the beginning of the season. Andy Dalton gets into an accident, it hurts his little pinky, and now Bryce Young goes in there, and we start to see some upside with Bryce Young. The Dallas Cowboys made the Carolina Panthers, who I loved when Pam Oliver said at the beginning of the show, Dave Canales was like, oh, we might be 3-10, but we don't feel like we're 3-10. We feel like we're 10-3. Hell, I'm a Cowboys fan. I can say I feel like they're 13-0. That doesn't mean that they haven't been hot garbage this entire time. Watching what we saw with what Dallas did to the Carolina Panthers, where they made this team that was looking like it was on the trajectory going up, where the Dallas Cowboys were underdogs in this game. What I thought was just so damn insulting. The Dallas Cowboys were the underdog going into this game. I hammered that. I put so much money on the Dallas Cowboys, not only covering the spread, but winning the money line. I could not fathom how the Dallas Cowboys were being that disrespected. And I had to think to myself, is Carolina actually that good? Are the Panthers really this good of a team? I know I've seen them, that again, they're on the trajectory up. Bryce Young has been playing well. Medusa Designs is tuned in right now. She sends a message, she's heading home to watch the Cowboys game, and I'm telling her, you haven't missed anything spectacular right now. And this was right before halftime. We have to remember the halftime score was what, 10-7? Maybe 13-7? The Dallas Cowboys were moving the ball down the field, and all of a sudden they can't, they fumble the ball down at the 20-yard line or so. Carolina gets a nice, big, long touchdown pass. That's where you kind of thought to yourself, oh, okay, maybe Dallas was overperforming here. Then they come out the second half and they just dominated. Absolutely dominated. Bryce Young was getting knocked around the entire place. The defense was creating turnovers. It was what we had come to expect from this Dallas Cowboys team based off of what happened over the last couple of years. How this team was leading the NFL in takeaways. How this team was, sacking the quarterback with all the pressures from DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. That defense that we saw yesterday in the second half for the Dallas Cowboys is what we as Cowboys fans expected to see all year long. And I think the frustration for me is I know that they can win out. Let me rephrase that. I don't know that they can win out. I would like to see them win out. There's a possibility that they can win out. But I look at this team and I think to myself, if you had not just pooped the bed against the Cincinnati Bengals, what could have been? They could have made it to the playoffs. And look, I don't think that they would have made anything with Cooper Rush as the quarterback, but at least you can say we made it to the playoffs. If they end the season at either 9-8 or 8-9 and don't make the playoffs, it was just another wasted season for the Dallas Cowboys. And we can look back at this game and we can look back at all the games that they lost, and we can pinpoint they should have won this one, they should have won this one, they should have won this one. I hate this thing that ESPN puts out there because it's like the what if, right? Like what if this happens and this team loses, right? If the team that won didn't win, this is what could have happened. The big what if. And one of the things is like, oh, well, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and they can easily be 5-8 right now. It's like, well, they're not. They're what, 13-1 now? Tommy Cananza saying, I was questioning Carolina too, Mike. LOL, I was thinking, are the Cowboys really worse than Carolina? When I saw that spread on Friday, I was like, okay, look, there's no way. Because, again, like I am a degenerate. I will say that right now. Like, I gamble, I do things. I don't put a whole bunch of money on this, but it's nice to win a little here and there, right? And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, the Cowboys are a 2.5-point underdog to Carolina. Even if it was, Carolina getting the home field cooking, because you always get 2 points for being the home field team. They get the home field cooking. Without that, they're still a 0.5-point favorite than the Dallas Cowboys. I was like, is Dallas really that bad? Or is Carolina that good? And selfishly, even though I lived in North Carolina for a period of time, I wasn't sitting there like, oh, wow, let me watch this Carolina Panthers game. My mind was blown that the Carolina Panthers were a favorite over the Dallas Cowboys. I took it as a personal insult. I was 100% the Jordan meme looking at my iPad being like, and I took it personal. Obviously, the game plays out the way that most people would have thought it would have played out. I don't know what the hell Vegas was doing there. Maybe Vegas was trying to get people to bet on the Panthers. I don't know what it is. Vegas probably took an L on this one because there was no way people were betting on the Panthers unless you were just a brainwashed Carolina Panthers fan. Medusa Designs asking, Linda McGrath asking, can Dallas do it in the playoffs? No. I think that this is what the frustrating thing would be, right? Is even if Dallas hypothetically were to find some miracle where they make it to the playoffs, Cooper Rush isn't that guy, right? Like, we saw him yesterday. Yes, he's good. He's okay. He's a serviceable backup. Maybe if the Cowboys can establish a running game, right? Like now I'm talking myself into it because it's just me being me. And maybe I could put out another post there where people think that I'm an idiot. That's what I was going to get to, Tommy. I'll be there in just a second. It would take just an ungodly miracle. Once again, like I need to get a shirt made where it has like the Dallas Cowboys as a star in a dog's ass, where it says the sun shines on the dog's ass every now and then, and just have the Dallas Cowboys star right there on the back of the dog, right? I cannot see a scenario where the universe aligns perfectly, right? Like every single one of the planets are in just perfect alignment for the Dallas Cowboys to, 1, make the playoffs, and then 2, win a playoff game. I know they beat Washington. I have a feeling they can beat Washington again. I know that they can more than likely beat Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay. I don't think Tampa Bay is exponentially better than the Dallas Cowboys. The one game that I think they lose is against Philadelphia, and I thought that they could have survived that game had they beat the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday night. Now, without them beating Cincinnati, I don't find a way that the Dallas Cowboys make it to the playoffs. Yes, there's that, tiny, tiny little itty bitty percentage of a chance. But it's the same as though, like, your friend is at the bar and the most gorgeous woman at the bar looks simply over this way and was probably looking at a TV, and your friend is saying to himself, oh, she was looking at me. And you're like, no, she wasn't, dude. Well, she was looking this way. I know, but there's a lot of other things behind you. But, dude, she could have been looking at me. Yes, she could have. But more than likely what went through her mind is she looked at you and said, what the hell is that thing? That's the Dallas Cowboys playoff chances. We're looking at it, and we see the tiny percentage of it, and we're trying to make it out. We're like, what the hell is that thing? That's the Dallas Cowboys doing anything of note this season. Again, they will more than likely end the season if they win out 9-8. If they lose to Philadelphia, 8-9. There's also a scenario where I see the Dallas Cowboys not winning another game because they're the Dallas Cowboys. And why should I have any faith in them? Medusa Design saying, LOL, like y'all could be doing this all season. She was surprised. She was expecting her boys to crap the bed against the Carolina Panthers. There was one point there, like even in the fourth quarter, there's like 4 minutes left. I'm like, they're going to find a way to lose this game. I had already mentally prepared myself to the Dallas Cowboys are going to find a way to lose this game. It will happen. It didn't. I was pleasantly surprised. It didn't happen. The Dallas Cowboys found a way to win a game. Congratulations, Cowboys. My guy, Tommy Carranza, knowing exactly where I'm going on this. If the Cowboys win out, do we get Mike McCarthy to come back? I think it was less than a month ago where I had the Dallas Cowboys as my power bottom of the NFL, the worst team in the NFL. And I said to myself, one, I don't see a scenario. This is right before Thanksgiving. Maybe you beat the Giants. You're not going to beat Washington. You'll probably lose to Cincinnati. You'll lose to Carolina. Find a way to just lose the rest of the games. And I was happy with a 4-13 season. I really was. Because it meant we were going to have ourselves a nice, solid draft pick. Now, once again, we're going to be picking in the middle. And I guess given this year's draft, it's right? But I would have loved to have seen the Dallas Cowboys go after like a Travis Hunter type. I was going to say a Hunter Henry type. Jesus Christ, I don't want Hunter Henry. And the more that I look at the Dallas Cowboys and the more that I see the way that this team is just bad, the more I realize they are currently overachieving. Compared to what we saw at the beginning of the season, compared to everything we knew about the Dallas Cowboys at the beginning of the season, this team is overperforming. They're outperforming what we thought that they would be. Tommy Canassa says that he doesn't see them winning out. He only sees them winning 1 out of the last 3, more than likely against Tampa Bay. But if, and once again, that we're living in the world of hypotheticals, if they were to win out, how do you justify not bringing back Mike McCarthy? And Jerry would have it in his head the same exact way. How do you justify it? And to me, the justification is this team had Super Bowl aspirations at the beginning of the season. Ending the season 9-8 or 8-9 or hell, even 7-10 at the end of the season, missing the playoffs, not getting anywhere near the Super Bowl, that to me is your justification for why you would move on from Mike McCarthy. But does Jerry see it that way? And that's really the only opinion that matters is, does Jerry see it that way? And it's a terrifying notion for me to sit here and think, Jesus. Again, as tiny as the possibility is where I'm looking over to the side saying, oh my God, what the hell is that? When I look at the Dallas Cowboys playoff chances, I look over this way and I see to myself, oh God, look at that fat, gross guy over there. But he's having a good time and no one's kicking him out. He's staying. How the hell is that fat, grotesque guy, which is normally 99% of the time me and my big, fat, drunk ass, how is that fat guy, that slob, how is that lowly miscreant swine not kicked out of this bar? That's currently how we are looking at Mike McCarthy. And we're sitting here looking around like, where's the bouncer? Where's he going to be at? How come this guy hasn't been kicked out yet? And as we continue to drink more and have ourselves a good old time, we got to sit back and think to ourselves, hell, maybe I just got to live with it. Tommy Canasta saying he thought that they would crap the bed. The Dallas Cowboys would crap the bed at the half whenever Cooper fumbled and Carolina threw the bomb for 6. Oh, my God. When I saw that, and then I knew Carolina was getting the ball back first in the second half, I was like, oh, this is done. I did like the Brandon Aubrey attempt at a 70-yard field goal. There's a part of me that thinks like maybe he just stepped wrong, but I still think he probably could have made that. Like, I want to see him give it a try again. Tommy Canasta saying 5 years of coaching malpractice. I'm getting a message that for some reason I have been reported on Twitter. So I am no longer streaming on X, which is fine. Doesn't hurt at all. I must have been reported for saying something. Tommy Canasta saying that Mike McCarthy is directly responsible for the last at least 3 losses this year. I mean, I can see that, I guess. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't think it's necessarily like the coach can't get out there and play. The issue with the Dallas Cowboys has been the team, like the team itself, everything that surrounds the Dallas Cowboys as a team. That's what the big issue has been. Not necessarily that they're being out coached. A lot of the losses, and I've got to like look at the schedule here for the Dallas Cowboys. But a lot of the losses the Dallas Cowboys had were just not close. And you can see some of those and think to yourself, like, whenever they lost to the Saints, that wasn't a Mike McCarthy thing. Whenever they lost to the Lions, that wasn't a Mike McCarthy thing. Losing to the 49ers, I've got to try to remember that game. I think I just blocked it out of my brain. But losing to the 49ers, it doesn't seem like it was like coaching decisions. You look at the majority of the games the Cowboys lost this year, it wasn't like close games that they lost. It was they got kind of blown out, or they just, they scored enough points to make it interesting. Like the Baltimore game, we all knew going into the fourth quarter that game was done. I even texted my friends like, Jesus Christ, they're giving me hope, and everyone's just saying to myself, like, look, Chip, don't get hope in them. Don't believe in them. This is fool's gold, what they're doing in the fourth quarter against the Ravens. Yes, the game winds up being 28-25, but it never felt like it was that close at all. You know what I mean? Going on to just Monday, he's responsible for losing that game with his play calling. I mean, I guess I could see it. I'll have to go back. Like, I haven't. Normally, what I do is I'll go and watch a whole bunch of like the highlights and stuff like that after the game. I go back. I watch the game on like double speed just to get to like each play that happens. Right, like the all 22. I haven't done that a lot this year with the Cowboys, just because I know that I would be so damn mad because they're bad on all facets of the game. They're bad. But I don't think it was necessarily Monday that Mike McCarthy was responsible for that loss. I think that loss was because they blocked a punt and someone touched the ball like they weren't supposed to do. Like, and maybe we can say that goes on coaching, but that's going to be on your special teams coordinator, right? Like, Dallas Cowboys did everything that they could. Like, obviously it wasn't a pretty game, but their defense held up. Their offense was moving the ball pretty well against Cincinnati. They block a punt, and 27, I'm never going to say his name again because I ruined it so bad on Tuesday. 27 touches the ball. Cincinnati gets the ball there. You're told all the time, whenever it's blocked, you don't touch it. You run away. It's poison, right? Tommy Canasta saying, no, he lost that game with 6 minutes to go, Mike. It's so hard to say that whenever you block a punt and you have a chance to win. Like, so much happens. Well, if nothing else happened in the last 6 minutes of the game, like if they didn't block the punt and if it didn't roll off of somebody's arms, how like maybe that's where you could say he lost the game. But it's so, like with 6 minutes left, there's so much time to do a whole bunch of other things, especially in football. 6 minutes in football is a lifetime. 6 minutes for Augustine is also a lifetime. Medusa Design saying, hey, do you know what happened in the Dolphins game with that injury? I do. And it was gross. I think what it was is you had like a crossing route. And as you had people that were crossing in the routes, someone stepped on someone else's ankle and an ankle turned around the wrong way. And that's, I believe that's all she wrote. Or I might be thinking about another game. There was a lot of injuries yesterday. Jesus, I know I saw a tweet from Robert Griffin III, and this is why I'm thinking it's that game. So let me see. Oh no. Okay, so yes, I had the wrong thing going over here. Grant DeBow stretchered off with a serious injury following an illegal hit. Ooh, okay. So now I'm learning something new right now. All right. So they're playing a game without Aziz Al-Shair, suspended for 3 games, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking for the video. I don't see any video right now. So let me try to find the video here. I apologize, Medusa. Oh. Mute that. She's saying that they cut his jersey off and his face mask and all that stuff. Man. Okay, so I'm seeing, like, I'm trying to get caught up on this right here. What game was I watching yesterday where someone got carted off with like a couple of minutes left and it was an ankle that got broke? You know, you see a lot of injuries in the NFL whenever you start getting all your major injuries mixed up. Okay, so this one's just going to be some random dude talking about it. Video here. I apologize. I didn't even realize that was a thing. Okay, so we're watching the play. Oh, that's not that bad. Okay. So now that I watched the video, Tua throws the ball into DeBow. DeBow's double covered. He's going with like a 10-yard post, so he's coming inside. And as the ball gets there, he lowers down to try to catch the ball because it was a little thrown down. The top of his head winds up hitting the chest pads of the defender, and you just see his neck kind of compress in while also simultaneously going back. So it's an ugly hit, I will say that, but it's not like it wasn't an egregious or targeted hit like that. And Bullock, number 21 from Houston, is the individual that caused the injury. But looking at the replay, it's not. I mean, they want to say it was an illegal hit. Like I'm trying to watch it over and over again and see if maybe there was a little helmet to helmet, I guess. But it was a low pass that was aimed at DeBow, like he had to go down. And Bullock, obviously going after the ball, going after the player, he goes down as well. It looks like there might have been a little helmet to helmet on the side, but it wasn't, like to me, it wasn't egregious. It wasn't anything over the top as far as that hit goes on Grant DeBow. I'll have to watch it a little bit more in depth and see more than just this one play. They don't seem to be showing the replay of it, at least not a bunch of different angles that would, like, we're used to seeing. But it just seems like it was one of those, because of the pass being low and the receiver having to go down and the defender also going down, they just kind of collided a little bit. it says illegal hit, and I'm guessing because there was a little bit of helmet-to-helmet contact. But if you watch that in real time, to me, it doesn't look bad. And I might just be an asshole because I grew up watching football in the 90s. But that hit on Grant DeBow didn't look that bad at all. I see that Amonity is tuned in right now as well. What's up, Amonity? See that you're here. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Medusa Design saying, I thought it was some big hit or something like that. They took him off the field. I think that that's what it was, is it was just the compression of his helmet and his neck, right? And it might have caused some other issues that were there, which is why they had to cut off the jersey, which is why they had to cart him off the field. He looked like he was knocked smooth the hell out. I will say that. All right, so we're going to take a quick break right now. Whenever we come back here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, we're going to continue talking about the NFL weekend that was. A lot of fun games out there. I almost went perfect with my picks, if not for two damn teams. Two damn teams screwed me over, or maybe it was just me and my bias. We'll figure that all out together whenever we come back on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's an absolute pleasure to serve as your president. I know that our community is going to come out in full force. And on the ACC side, we have Louisville.
They're playing and representing the Pac-12, even though they're in the Big Ten. To make it short, University of Washington.
It is official now. We know who's playing in the 91st Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. We have the Louisville Cardinal coming for the first time to El Paso against Washington Huskies on December 31st at 12 noon at the Sun Bowl Stadium. Tickets are going fast. We've got two fantastic teams. Get your tickets early and come out and enjoy the festivities. It's more than just a football game. We'll have something for everybody. See you there on December 31st.
Oh, hello. I'm Mike Tipton. I want to tell you about the perfect gift this holiday season. The Bulber's dual-sided ergonomic design allows it to go both ways, meaning you can shave in either direction. The slim shape is optimal for trimming those hard-to-reach areas. It's also nut safe, providing a 30-degree pivoting blade that is engineered for nut keeping. Say goodbye to the cuts, nicks, pulling, tugging, and snaps. If you're looking for stamina, it's got exactly what you need. With its long-lasting lithium rechargeable battery, it can last up to 150 minutes on one charge. The Bulber is IPX7 waterproof, which means it can have fun, dry, or wet. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton to give your man the perfect package for his package. I swear to God, one day I'm going to not laugh at that commercial. One day I will grow up, but it ain't today. That stuff is still hilarious to me. I've got another one that I'm working on right now as well. Remember, go visit our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Save up to 35% on the big package. That's got the Bulber. That's got the anti-chafe stick. That's got the comfort cream. I've got My Happy Nuts here with me all the time. Remember, www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Save up to 35% on all of your male grooming needs. Linda McGrath asking, have you noticed that the big running backs are dominating the game? Defenses are too small to stop running backs like a Derrick Henry. Need big linebackers again. I feel like that's been an issue for the last couple of years, and I'm glad that you were able to bring that up to me, because it's been a topic that I have wanted to speak about for a while, right? Is we know that the NFL now is a passing league, which is why we've seen smaller, more agile linebackers, even smaller defensive ends. Like Micah Parsons in the 90s would be a linebacker. He wouldn't be a defensive end. But that's just because there's a premium on getting to the quarterback. That's where the value is. It's sacking the quarterback, and it's the quarterback getting the ball out. Those are your more important positions, right? The quarterback is going to be the highest paid person on the field. Other than that, it's going to be your tackles protecting the quarterback, and then it will be the defensive ends who need to get to the quarterback. The NFL has become so quarterback-centric that the middle linebacker, the big linebackers that we used to see roaming, the Brian Urlachers and people like that, Urlacher wouldn't be a linebacker anymore. He would be more than likely a defensive end. And imagine how disruptive of a defensive end Brian Urlacher would have been, right? That's who these guys have kind of morphed into. But I feel like if you get the bigger linebackers, you need to have like those hybrid type dudes. You need to have those really big, fast guys. Hell, Jadeveon Clowney. I saw him yesterday chase down CeeDee Lamb, who had a full head of speed going his way. Jadeveon Clowney just runs, catches up to him, throws him to the ground. I think Jadeveon Clowney covered at least 25 yards to catch up and get to CeeDee Lamb. You would need a freak athlete like that. And how many freak athletes are there that are actually able to do that and like understand the game? The bigger linebackers have become a bit of a liability, right? So now you would kind of expect, okay, if you look in the back end of it, you see bigger safeties and bigger cornerbacks now to help deal with the bigger running backs. But outside of Derrick Henry, who's really a big running back? Like, I guess we could say Josh Jacobs, maybe, right? But Derrick Henry is such an outlier that it's almost impossible to basically develop an entire defense around that. Medusa Design is saying, yeah, they have to be fast, and not a lot of dudes are built that way. And that's the thing, right, is we see players in the NFL, and there's always like that one guy, right? Like the Myles Garrett, the Micah Parsons, the Jadeveon Clowneys. For those that don't remember Jadeveon Clowney, go back and look up the hit that he did when he was on South Carolina against Michigan, where he just blew up somebody's life. He murdered somebody on the field, hypothetically. I guess figuratively, not hypothetically. He murdered somebody on the field and just got away with it. Like it was one of the greatest hits I've ever seen. It's still one of the greatest hits I've ever seen. To watch the football and a helmet just pop off of somebody as they get hit by one guy. It was an amazing hit. But it seems like the NFL only has one of those guys on each team on defense. You would need an entire team of just freak athletes if you wanted to have big, fast linebackers. And I feel like eventually the NFL, outside of the offensive and defensive line, is going to move to what the NBA has become with positionless football, right? You'll have your quarterback, but how far away are we from, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen being the guy that can not just run, but pass, as that being the model that you would need for your quarterback? And the knock on those running back or those quarterbacks that would run was that they were always small, that they would get hit and it would be the end. Josh Allen is a load. Josh Allen is not someone anybody wants to try to tackle. So eventually I think, with the evolution of football, we'll get to a positionless football type game, but it's not going to be now. And I don't think it would be within the next 10 or 20 years. Like, it will be a little bit later where you can just move people around. Because, yes, we look at athletes and they are getting bigger and they are getting faster and they are getting stronger. But right now it's just like, man, what can be? What's the evolution of it going to be? Linda McGrath saying a running quarterback still hasn't won a Super Bowl. I would push back on that and say that the knock on Steve Young is that Steve Young was a running quarterback. Patrick Mahomes also very early on in his career, before he became me and he's aging like a loaf of bread, he was a guy that people would consider a scrambling quarterback. Roger Staubach was a running quarterback. So I think what we're saying here is like a run first quarterback, but I don't know if there's any of those in the NFL anymore. Right. But how long would it be before we get to that point? Right. Like I can sit back and watch. Like, would you be surprised? Like, would you really be surprised? Russell Wilson, I would say, was also a running quarterback. Would you be surprised if you saw Josh Allen win a Super Bowl? Would you be surprised if you saw Lamar Jackson win a Super Bowl? I think the answer there is no. And once again, it comes to the positionless style of football that we're going to that we're ultimately going to wind up getting to, right? Because and the reason why I'll say that, like, Roger Staubach and Steve Young were running quarterbacks is because there wasn't the premium on throwing the ball, right? You had to be agile. You had to be able to run. And that was Steve Young's thing. Is Steve Young, people don't I hate saying it because I hate the 49ers, and I will wear that on my sleeve for the remainder of eternity. Steve Young doesn't get the credit he deserves on being like one of these guys who was a pioneer, right? Like, he and Randall Cunningham being able to throw the ball and run, but like a Fran Tarkenton type, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He was super athletic, Steve Young was. Now he's got weird hair dye that's always dripping off the side of his head because he's just a weird old guy. I can say that I used to work with him. I'm a jerk. Jesus Christ. Maybe one of these days I'll become a decent human being. But that to me would be like, I don't think anybody would be surprised. Nobody would be surprised if Josh Allen, if hell, even Jalen Hurts, if Lamar Jackson won a Super Bowl. I don't think we'd be surprised. And I think that we're moving more towards, you don't have to be a running quarterback per se, but you have to be athletic and agile enough to be able to win a game on your feet if you need to. And right now we're looking at, the traditional drop back pocket passer, the Jameis Winston gunslinger, right? That's going to the wayside. That will be extinct. Aaron Rodgers, I would even say, was like a scrambling quarterback. Like, again, freaky athletic, sneaky athletic, but he was a guy that would run around and be able to get you, 10 to 15 yards at a time if he needed to. Linda McGrath saying, Terry Bradshaw was just a passer, not too athletic. And I agree with that, right? Like the statue quarterback, the Tom Brady type quarterback, the Dan Marino, Peyton Manning quarterback. I believe that's going the way of the dinosaur. You have to be able to be super athletic because you have to look at what's standing across from you on the other end, and it's just a line of freaky athletic dudes that can catch up to you at any point in time. Imagine being Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, Franken Manning when he won the Super Bowl in 2015 with the Broncos, just held together with duct tape and bubble gum. Imagine being that, trying to escape from a Micah Parsons or a Myles Garrett or any of these other great defensive ends that we see throughout the NFL. Medusa Design saying, I love me a running quarterback, and I've seen plenty actually. And that's the thing, is I think that now, again, like I don't like the term running quarterback because it means that you run first, right? Maybe we had some of those in the past where it was, I'm going to get the ball, I'm just going to run and like do my thing. But like whenever I think of that, I think of guys like Otto Graham, right? Like I think of that was football in like the 1940s and 50s. Maybe even Bart Starr can be considered one of those traditional old school, I'm going to run before I pass type quarterbacks. And like I said, I would say that Roger Staubach was that guy. And I think that the 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe early 2000s saw the evolution of a quarterback that needs to be able to run to get out of to get out of harm's way and to be able to extend the play. But I don't think we have just a traditional, like, this guy is going to run just to run. Like, I don't think we've had that since at least Cam Newton. I don't even think Cam Newton was really that after he went to the Super Bowl with Carolina. He became more of a traditional, I need to go through my options and then run type of guy. Because that's what Russell Wilson was. I guess you can say still is, right? Maybe Kaepernick was that, but I don't think Kaepernick, again, just me being the hater that I am on the 49ers, I thought Kaepernick was a decent quarterback. I don't think he was top tier like a lot of people thought he was, but I thought he was decent enough to be able to, like, he could rely on his arm. He had a cannon. He could rely on his arm. But, like, when I think of, a running quarterback, I think of, like, the Fran Tarkingtons out there. I think of the guys that are running, like, the triple option. Michael Vick, we could say, but also Michael Vick had an absolute laser for an arm. Like, man. But I think that Michael Vick was the beginning of what we have now as far as it goes with, quarterbacks that need to be super athletic to be able to move around in the pocket if they need to be able to hit that gap if they need to. That's the biggest issue that people have with Dak, right? Dak is extremely athletic, but he doesn't rely on his legs when he needs to. Dak has become one of those old school statue quarterbacks, and that's why he gets hit so damn much. Cooper Rush, we saw it yesterday, gets hit so damn much. The broadcast with the Cowboys and Carolina Panthers game was talking about how Bryce Young's success over the last 5 games was they were doing play action, moving him out of the pocket, getting him to be able to be athletic, to be able to throw the ball outside of the pocket. Yesterday, they made him a statue. Their game plan was to make Bryce Young a statue and just let him get hit by the Dallas Cowboys defensive line. So for me, I think it's like you got to be both now. Again, going back to the positionless football, especially on the defensive end of the game, or the defensive side of the game, rather, it's going to be positionless football. Like I've seen safeties sneak up to be linebackers. We see a lot more safety and corner blitzes now because you got to be able to be big enough to get through the line to get to the quarterback. You see a lot more of those. Back in the day, a safety and a corner blitz used to be like, I need to pull this out because I need to throw something against the wall and hope that it works. Medusa Design saying, no, Russell Wilson with the Seahawks, he scrambled better there. Oh, 100%. 100%. Russell Wilson with the Seahawks was a menace. Some people would even say that he was danger, Russ. God, that was cheesy. I'm an idiot. I make myself laugh, and that's what matters, guys. All right? That's what really matters. Linda McGrath saying, I still think Bryce Young will have a problem winning with Carolina. I agree 100%. But it's because Carolina just doesn't have talent around him. You can look and see whenever a quarterback has talent around him. Tommy Canazza saying, yeah, not so much. Dak is slow as hell. Dak's got that like 640 speed, right? Like just a flat 6. There's times where like I look at Dak running and I think to myself, Jesus Christ, I'm faster than that. I'm an out of shape 40-year-old man with a beer belly. Speaking of beer, check out my friends over at beerbox.com. Damn, I'm good. But I think Carolina, like they would need to hit in the draft. They would need to get, decent players and surround him with talent. I like the running game right now with Chuba Hubbard. I want to see them go get more help on the offensive line, more help on defense, and get him a wide receiver or a tight end or two, right? No quarterback is going to win in a situation like that. I believe, though, if you put Bryce Young on like Tampa Bay, there wouldn't be much of a drop-off between he and Baker Mayfield. I believe if you put Baker Mayfield on the Jets, they would be exponentially better because Aaron Rodgers just isn't that guy anymore. If you put Bryce Young on the Jets, I don't know if they would be exponentially better, but I feel like they would be better. He's got a bright future his way. It's just the team's got to be able to build around him. Medusa Designs with a great comment over there. Love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, like I it's so hard for me to like give up on a quarterback. Like even whenever we're watching Sam Darnold and he's like struggling with the Jets, you had to think to yourself, well, it's because he doesn't have any talent around him, right? Like who's catching the ball for the Jets at that point in time? Because it was before they got Garrett Wilson, right? They might have been dusting off the corpse of Santonio Holmes to have him running out there getting routes. Keyshawn Johnson was out there running routes at 9,000 years old for Sam Darnold. It's the same thing with Carolina. You have to be able to have a little bit of talent. You have to be able to have a couple of guys that can just go get the ball, right? We're watching CeeDee Lamb struggle to even lift his arm up, but he's still out there just doing what he knows how to do, which is catch the ball, score tutties, and, you see him go over to the sidelines, and you can tell that man is just in pain, but he's out there for his teammates. There's not a guy like that. Maybe Xavier Leggetti might be a guy that they can build upon in the future, but they have to be able to address the offensive line issues. They have to be able to address the defense. Again, like if you put Bryce Young on even the Vikings, I don't think the Vikings are 11-2 like they are right now, but they would be a pretty decent team. They wouldn't be as bad as Carolina is. I think that's the main point is you've got to have some talent around whoever your young quarterback is. And we always forget, and it's one of the things that I tend to think of. 99% of the time, if you're drafting that high, if you've got like one of the top 5 or 10 picks, it's because you're bad. Sometimes you get a trade and it just worked out your way and you can add on to your team that's already going to be good. But if you're drafting that high, if you got the number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick, it's because you were hot garbage for the whole year previous, which means you didn't have a ton of talent around you. So I'm always one of these guys, like I hate whenever I see a team draft a quarterback that high because I have to see what else is on the team. I like what Houston did, right? Houston goes out, they have some receivers. They made sure they addressed their offensive line. They drafted a young quarterback, and what they do, they said last year the biggest issue that we had with our team was a running game. So they go out and they trade and they get Joe Mixon to help out with the running game. So now all the pressure isn't on C.J. Stroud. It's everywhere else. The same thing with Washington, right? Washington goes out and drafts Jaden Daniels, and what they do, they built an entire team around him. They said, this is the guy that we're going to draft. We have a ton of money in free agency. Let's address our offensive line, which is what they did by taking a bunch of players from the Dallas Cowboys. Let's address our defense, which they did by taking a bunch of players from the Dallas Cowboys. They have a good receiver in Terry McLaurin. Let's put some depth in the receiver here. So now we get Noah Brown, a couple of other people like that. They had a solid run game. The issue was always just quarterback and offensive line. Well, Washington addressed it, and Washington is now reaping the benefits of that. Bryce Young, I think, like, if he becomes a victim of the Carolina Panthers being the Carolina Panthers and not making great decisions, it's not going to be a him thing. Like, I don't think it should be an indictment on him. It should be an indictment on the franchise. Because, again, nobody was going to win with the Jets. Geno Smith, look at what Geno Smith has become. The same thing with Sam Darnold. I know it's a one-year sample with Sam Darnold, but look at, like, how good he's become. Medusa Designs going on to say, in the WFA, which is the Women's Football Alliance, we have to be ready to play any position. So we train specifically for our position. But like if my teammate goes down, I need to be ready to fill in that position. And it's not an easy task. That's what I love about the WFA, small rosters, but you got a lot of people out there that are just busting their ass. Can't wait for the season. The New Mexico Banditas. Can't wait to see what y'all do this season. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and end the show here. I got a message that I want to send you from our district attorney, Jaime Montoya. Everyone, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. We'll see you tomorrow. James Montoya, thank you so much for joining us here. What is it that you want to talk about? You got some pretty cool stuff out here.
We do. So, the Sun Bowl, it's a cherished tradition for El Pasoans and our families and folks from out of town. But we know and we recognize that some people partake in this celebration with some adult beverages. And so we just want to make sure that people drink responsibly and that they get home safe from the Sun Bowl and on New Year's Eve. And so right now, the district attorney's office under DA Bill Hicks secured a grant from TxDOT, the Texas Department of Transportation, for free Uber rides on New Year's Eve, starting on December 31st, for people to get home. And so there's going to be 800 free Uber rides up to $20. They're $20 vouchers. You input it in your phone and you'll get that ride. And they start at 10 a.m. On the day of the game. And hopefully people use them up fairly quickly, but they will last up until 5 a.m. on New Year's Day. So you don't have to be at the game to use them. You can use them if you're out and about on New Year's Eve. We just really want people to get home safely. So it's a QR code that you have to file or scan from your phone. It'll be available on the district attorney's social media page, which is EP District Attorney's Office. It'll also be available on the Sun Bowl Association, the website. And so you input the QR code and you get the voucher. Right. It's not a crime to have a good time. It's not a crime to drink alcohol. But when you make a choice to get behind the wheel after you've had too much, then it becomes an issue. And I hate to see it, especially during the holidays. People have lost their loved ones during this time. 10 years ago on Christmas Eve, we lost 3 young adults forever because of the choices of one person. And I know that people don't set out to kill someone that day, but it happens. And this crime is 100% preventable. People just need to make a plan. If you're going out and you're having a good time and then you're trying to figure out a way to get home, by then it's too late. You need to make a plan before you head out how you're getting home that night.